There is a financial crisis that no one is talking about, brewing right beneath our feet, waiting for the right time to erupt. And when that happens, it's going to change the world as we know it, turning everything upside down, from the way we live to how our society functions as a whole. And the root cause of this? A population decline. And soon, birthdays will be a rarer sight than funeral. Today we have 8 billion people living on this earth, and the world is more crowded than ever. But can you imagine, in the 1700s, the world population is less than half of China today. But ever since post-World War II, population has gone through a rapid growth. Between 1950 to 1987, 2.5 billion babies were born. That's more babies born in 4 decades than the past 250 years. With such rapid population growth, at one point, actually certain economies were also worried whether can the world resources support this growing population. Will we end up face starvation and so on? But the good thing is it did not happen. Such population growth has been a driving catalyst over the past decades, driving economic growth by supplying good amount of workforce and consumer growth as well. Supply and demand both went up at the same time, leading to prosperity for many countries. This growth led to higher tax revenue for many governments, and in turn, this tax revenue were used to spend on infrastructure to improve the life of the people. Free healthcare, pension, and so on. Just like Malaysia, we have our own EPF, SOCSO, and free healthcare from government. But the truth is, we can only continue to enjoy such privileges if we maintain this population growth. A healthy population with the right age demographic is much needed. How do we determine a healthy population? Let's take a look at this graph, the population pyramid. It is a fairly simple graph. On the left will be the male population, and on the right will be the female population. A healthy age demographic will look like a pyramid, where there are more younger people in the population, and these younger people will be able to replace the older people when they retire from the workforce, continue replenishing this workforce for the nation. And this is a very important pillar of an economic growth. This will ensure that supply and demand will go up at the same time. Now, what about an unhealthy population? Let's take a look at this. Does it still look like a pyramid to you? In fact, it has a much smaller base and a bigger top. What this means is, within that population, there are less younger people. So in future, it will be harder to replace the older workforce since there's not many young people in the population. This means lower productivity in workforce and lower consumer spending as well. And all this will ultimately lead to lower tax revenue for the government. Therefore, the government will have less money to fund social programs such as free healthcare, pension, and so on and so forth. This is a huge issue for every country. So that's why in extreme countries like Japan and Singapore, you see the elderly still have to continue working even post retirement, or should we say that retirement don't even exist? So what about Malaysia? Where are we? Well, this is Malaysia's population pyramid. The truth is, our population has been declining over the years, and if this trend continues, soon we may join the likes of Singapore and Japan. It's no wonder that Malaysia government has been raising our retirement age from 55 years old in 2001 to 60 years old today. The truth is, we are staring at a potential retirement crisis. With an aging population, there will be a significant increase in healthcare costs, pension withdrawals, and so on. But at the same time, with less younger generation contributing to workforce and consumer spending, eventually this will lead to lower tax revenue for the government. And this could potentially crash the existing system and structure in our country. If you are expecting to retire in the next 30 to 40 years, well, I'm sorry to break this news to you. You may never be able to retire, at least not the way you like it to be. Well, over the past few decades, we have gone through rapid modernization that challenges the traditional family structure. In the past, women were given less opportunity.
Housekeeping still remains the most important business of the world.
They were expected to just get married and get babies, raise a family. But today, with education and more employment opportunities, women realize that that's not the only thing that they can do. So more and more of them are entering the workforce and contributing to society that way, which is really a good good thing. But with that as well, women today have to choose between building a career versus building a family. And many choose to delay raising a family to go for career growth. But we can't blame them because they are the ones who sacrifice the most from this. They have to go through that 9 months pregnancy, then the maternity leave, and then coming back to work while at the same time needing to breastfeed and so on. It is not easy. And what makes it worse is that working moms are often given less opportunity at work, and there's less infrastructure that makes it easy for them to go back into the workforce.
Something wrong, Mr. Bradshaw?
No, nothing's wrong. We just need this space for something else.
So does it mean that women should stop working? Well, the answer is no. Because if women were to stop working today, we are going to be faced with an even worse issue. Half of the workforce in the market will be gone immediately, and that will be disastrous. In fact, it's more important that companies today need to provide women with an equal opportunity, working moms especially, and provide them with the right infrastructure to get back into work, such as providing childcare facility in the office or flexible working hours, stuff like that. That way, they don't have to choose between focusing on career versus raising a family.
Perfectly balanced, as all things should be.
Okay, aside from the changing of family structure, there is this whole issue about the rising cost of living. Things are just getting more and more expensive these days. 10-20 years ago, our parents could have raised a family under a single income, and one being a housewife taking care of the family. But today, in order to support a family, most of the time, both parents have to continue working. And if both of them choose to continue working, they have to send their kid to a daycare. And we all know a daycare in Klang Valley, it's not cheap at all. So the truth is, it's just getting more and more expensive to have children as well. Even when families choose to have children today, they rather have fewer kids. Not like in the past where we see our parents' generation having 7 or 8 siblings.
Meet Supermom. She has 16 kids.
Today, most of the family only have 1 or 2 kids. Even 3 is considered many children. And that has caused an unhealthy population.
I know what I have to do, but I don't know if I have the strength to do it.
Alright, with all that said, there's nothing much that we can do. In fact, when it comes to certain countries like Japan or Singapore, sometimes there's already no turning back. The government will just have to do whatever it takes to help the country to continuously grow. And therefore, it is very likely we are going to see certain trends happening in the future. For example, in the near future, I believe more and more countries will be loosening their immigration policy to import workforce into their country. In fact, we are starting to see this today. Countries with a healthy population such as Africa, Vietnam, Cambodia, Indonesia, such countries with a healthier population will be exporting their workforce to countries with aging populations. So it is very likely that one day, everywhere you go, you will be seeing Africans, Vietnamese, and so on. Another thing that could likely happen is you're going to see government raising the retirement age, which already happened in Malaysia and even more in other countries. Because people just can't afford to retire. Elderlies will be forced to stay longer in their workforce or even get back into the workforce. Remember we used to say that the younger people are the pillar of the economy? Well, in future, it could be the elderly that is the pillar of the society, driving economic growth. I think by now you're probably thinking retirement is going to be really difficult in the future. And yes, it will be harder, but it's not impossible. It requires us to play a more active role in planning for our future. And I'm not just talking about savings, but other aspects as well, such as healthcare, critical illness, and estate planning. You can save enough to generate income for retirement, but what happens if you need healthcare post-retirement? You may not be able to depend solely on public hospitals due to the reason that we mentioned earlier. So to get the best treatment, you may need to access private healthcare, which can be really costly. And if you think it's expensive now, it's only going to be more expensive later. So you want a medical and critical illness coverage insurance that provides sufficient coverage 20 to 30 years down the road. Okay, I know high medical and critical illness coverage insurance can be really costly today because you have to balance between savings and protection, right? If not, how are you going to save up for your retirement? Here's where I think you should consider a deductible healthcare plan which can significantly reduce your cost for premium, allowing you to have more saving. Allow me to talk about our sponsor, Allianz Life Insurance, as I think they may just have the right plan for you. They have a product called Health Insured, a comprehensive comprehensive medical coverage plan from Allianz. You can choose between deductibles of 5,000, 10,000 or 30,000. If you choose a 5,000 ringgit deductible, in case of an admission, the first 5,000 of the total medical bill you can claim from your company healthcare plan or other sources. But anything above that 5,000 ringgit will be paid by Allianz Insurance, depending on the plan that you choose, of course. This comes with a huge savings for the premium. With such deductible plan, even 30 years later when you retire, the premium will also be relatively lower than non-deductible plan. Ultimately, you can save on costs without compromising on the quality of care that you can get. Aside from this, they also have other products such as Prime Care Plus, a critical illness plan that covers over 150 critical illness from early to advanced stages. Should you be diagnosed with a critical illness, they will pay out a lump sum that can be used for alternative treatment and can cover your lifestyle changes. This plan helps you to seek early treatment before a covered critical illness worsens. That way, you can be confident that you have a financial safety net during those period of times. Ultimately, Allianz Life Insurance has a total retirement solution for you if you're looking to actively plan for a wholesome retirement in future. So speak to your Allianz Insurance agent to review your plans or click the link below to learn more about their offerings. Now, back to our topic. Talking about this whole aging population, in the near future, when people start retiring, we will have less younger people taking over the workforce. This means we are going to face a productivity crisis. There will be less productivity in the workforce. On the other hand, when more and more people retire, they will be spending less money. Well, if you're going to retire, you will understand this. You do not want to spend so much money by then because you're already not earning money. You still want to spend money some more, if you can save money lah. So by then, the consumer spending will have to depend on the younger generation. But with less younger people in the population and many of them may not earn as much, how on earth are you going to expect these younger people to support consumer growth? But with all this being said, there are certain opportunities that lies in this future, and that's what we'll be talking about. Currently, the older generation that are 60 years old and above are controlling more than 50% of the world's wealth, and it is estimated by 2030 there will be an addition of 400 million elderlies, and it is estimated that they will retire even later. This means they will have more time to accumulate even more wealth. Products and services that focus on solving their needs will be an opportunity for businesses and careers in the future, such as healthcare industry. So for those of you who are choosing a career or running a business, they will be a population that you cannot ignore in your business. On top of that, with a declining workforce due to age, more and more industries today are adapting AI and technology to fill in the gap of this workforce. In fact, we're already seeing that right now. The AI and tech industry will be a huge opportunity in the future. Therefore, it's important to equip yourself with relevant skill set. For example, understanding how to use ChatGPT or other generative AI tools in your work so that you can stay relevant and get ahead in your career. I have to say, if you still haven't used ChatGPT or any other generative AI tools yet, it is almost like saying that you do not know how to use Google, because in future, such AI tools could be like using Gmail or Microsoft Excel. It becomes a very, very important skill to have. So it is important for us to be adapted to this new age of technology. At the end of the day, when it comes to this whole population crisis that we are facing, there's no easy solution, because government just can't force people to get babies. They can't point a gun at people and say, hey, get some babies, right? But there are things that can be done before it gets too late, especially at a personal capacity. Just like preparing ourselves to be more relevant in the future by equipping ourselves with the right skill set and plan for our own retirement more actively. Don't just rely on government or the existing system to provide you with a comfortable retirement. That may not happen. Ultimately, this is a huge topic and we are actually just scratching the surface. If you want to learn more about this subject, I would recommend you to check out some books such as 2030 by Mauro F. Gulen, which talks about the future trend and some strategies we can employ. For example, he has positive view that such trend will provide more opportunities for countries like Africa, Asia, Middle Middle Eastern country. And this book, The End of the World, is just the beginning by Peter Zehan, in which he explains the evolution of the global demographic and how it will affect the future world. At the end of the day, everyone has their different views on what the future holds. So it's important that you learn more and develop your own opinion on this matter. But whatever the opinion is, this is a crisis that's going to affect you. So you have to prepare for the future.